morning, everybody. This is John, and we are here to talk about the Tao of the Day. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written about 600 BCE, and we focus on it, as I spoke about yesterday. We focus on it because it was written, as we were moving into the logic mind, and it was really a way of saying, hey, don't forget this. Don't forget that you're a part of nature, and nature has a structure to it. Don't forget that nature, the underlying spirit of nature is something that you can abide. And if you do forget it, things are going to be difficult. But Tao is patient. So it might not be difficult for your life, but you are, when you say, oh, I want to make sure I, have things for my kids and all of this kind of stuff and make things easier for them, sometimes that can backfire. And so what we want to do is we want to always make sure that we understand that we're a part of a bigger picture. We're a part of something bigger than ourselves. We're a part of something bigger than simply what we can even understand. And when we do that, when we can trust other people and what they're doing, and when we can allow things to be as they are, we really open ourselves up to finding a path that is laid out before us rather than trying to make that path ourselves. What I normally do is, and this is what I'm doing today as well, is invite you up to chat with me and pick a number between 1 and 81. This is sort of like an oracle. It's a way of getting your Tao for the day, your bit of meditation for the day. How are you going to face the day? Do you have challenges that you need to face today that that we might be able to bring a new perspective to? Is there something that we could do? Is there something that you can ask for, that you can receive an answer to for today, or for this week, or for a certain challenge that's going on in your life? So I invite you up to speak to me about what's going on with you, and then I would ask you to pick a number between 1 and 81. The reason that you pick a number between 1 and 81, not 1 and 10 or something, is because there are 81 chapters in the Tao Te Ching, and that number will correlate and hopefully give you insight on what it is you're looking for. So I went with a random number generator this morning and picked number 3. So we're going to go ahead and read number 3, Inspiring Strong People. I look at the title, and that's what I've been doing recently. It's been a new way of doing things. There was a time where I would take the last lines and relate them back to the first lines and make sure that, we understood where we were going, and then where did we start, and that's a nice way of doing it too. So if you come up, I might do something like that, or I might just break it down line by line. We might go through it in different ways so that we can understand what is here for me. And everyone's going to gain something different from each verse. And you're going to gain something different each time you read a verse. So even if you were to pick a number again, like the idea would be, well, what else is here? What else is here for me? So I got number 3. And feel free to come up and chat with me and pick a number whenever you're ready. I'm going to read number 3, Inspiring Strong People. And you should know that I am using my mobile hotspot, so we shouldn't get cut off in 10, 15 minutes. So for those of you who have been patient enough with me through those, thank you. I'm hoping that we're through that. We're through that problem. Okay, so this is interesting that this is the random number. I was just talking about this verse yesterday with somebody, because we were talking about getting to a status or owning a possession and taking shortcuts to getting those. Hey, Julie, what's going on?
Hello, I just thought I would join you for number 3, if that's all right.
Oh, yes, that is absolutely all right. I was literally talking go on.
Sorry. I've got a urine infection, which is nice.
Are you not listening to something?
Yeah, I've got a gift. I've been gifted with a urine infection. Thank you very much, universe.
Wait, what kind of
Maybe
kind
I
of
should
infection?
be listening to my cats. Sorry?
What kind of infection?
A urine. UTI.
Oh, yeah, UTI. Okay.
Which is fun.
I thought you said an ear
funny.
infection, so I thought you weren't listening to something. But a urine infection is very different. A UTI is a little different. Yeah, it's not about listening. It's about. I think maybe that might be telling you need to sit still for a while. You need to be in one place. You've been moving about too much.
Yeah. Okay, can we do number 3? That would be lovely. I would like
Number
to join
3.
you for that.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So praising the status that can be achieved will chastise those who don't achieve it. Praising a possession that can be owned will condemn those who don't own it. When nothing arouses competition, people will be at peace. The master leads by not defining status or possession. She weakens the ambition of those around her, which toughens the resolve to be as they are. By individuals releasing their ambition, everything falls into place.
I quite like that.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to you the other day about, trying to push myself to do things that I'm not really, I just don't want to do them at that point.
Right.
And I think this is kind of on the same lines, really. It's, rather than pushing towards some kind of goal, really, or ambition, or status, or anything like that. I think sometimes when you're pushing so hard towards that, you don't see what you already have. What you already are. Not sitting with that, really, if you're pushing forward, looking to tomorrow, or, you just miss it. So when you sit with today and you relax and you don't put out those parameters for other people, they too can relax then. And then the whole challenge is softened.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody feels they have to compete. Nobody feels like they're less than or more than. It just drops it all until all is balanced, I suppose.
Yeah, like here it says, the line that really kind of, that I'm reading as you're speaking is, the master leads by not defining status or possession. She weakens the ambition of those around her, which toughens the resolve to be as they are. She doesn't ask them to want anything different. And she doesn't define where they're at. She doesn't define what's good or what's bad or what they need to do or how they need to do it or anything. She just allows them to be as they are. She weakens their ambition. That's interesting. She weakens their ambition because she doesn't define it. She doesn't define, when someone says, oh, I want to do this. And she's like, oh, okay. But doesn't get excited about it. Doesn't have anything to say about it. Then that person who wants this thing is like, but wait, isn't my wanting this thing so good? Aren't you going to celebrate me wanting it?
Are you not going to be affected by that?
Right.
Is it not instill anything in you, any feeling, any emotion, any drive, any, you're not going to play ball. You're not going to play the ball. Yeah.
When the master just kind of says, you want to, like if it's like you want to publish a book and the master goes, oh, okay, yeah, And they're like, but wait, I'm going to publish a book. And it's like, yeah, okay. But it's like, isn't that impressive? Well, no. I mean, I've been to a library. There's lots of books. Like, if you're not interested, and if you realize that it's like, oh, it's not, your being an author isn't going to make you any more attractive to me as a person or any more interesting to me as a person. Your having a status isn't going to make me fawn over you. You having a possession. If you drive up in a Lamborghini and I go, hey, how are your kids? And
I love that. That's great. Yeah.
But I just drove up in a Lamborghini. It's just like, oh, it's good to see you. How are your kids? Yeah, like I saw that you drove in, but why would I care that you drove in a Lamborghini? Like that's just your car. It's like, but
that's not
but I
you.
didn't have this last week. Yeah, and if you rode up on a bicycle, I wouldn't mention it. And just be like, oh, how are your kids? Because that's what's important, right? What's important are the people that we love. And then here it says, she weakens the ambition of those around her. And that is what happens to happen when you are not praising a status or a possession. Mm-hmm. It just happens to be that you are going to weaken the ambition of people around you because they're focused on because the world around us is focused on status and possession. And so they get caught up in focusing on status and possession, and she weakens their ambition. Imagine having no ambition. I mean, I love when that happens to me. Like having no ambition. Like I just want to do what I do, and I don't care if there's any praise associated with it, any money associated with it, anything. It's just I enjoy doing this, and I know you live your life that way.
Yeah, it makes no sway, really.
What do you mean?
It makes no sway to the experience. I think the thing is, it's when you live life that way, it is the experience that you're enjoying. It's not anything to do with what I can accumulate or any kind of status or way that people might view me. It is just me in this experience, and that's beautiful. That's great.
And you mean, just to clarify, you mean like with weakened ambition or less ambition or no ambition? Yeah.
Yeah, yes. It's kind of relieving for me, actually.
It is. Ambition. I remember, I had a conversation with my dad not long ago, and I published my Tao, and I'm going to be doing a workshop at the yoga studio and all of this. And my dad doesn't really understand me in the least, and that's fine. But he had said, man, you're real ambitious. And I was just like, funny. I don't think I am. Like, I'm not, I didn't set out to do any of these things. They just kind of happened. They just unfolded for me.
Yes.
And he was just like, well, anybody that would do that, publish a book and do all of this stuff, like that in my book, that's ambition. And I'm like, oh, okay. You can have that. I mean, you now further, not only don't you understand me, you are not even willing to try and understand me. You're not even willing to listen to me to get to understand me more. And I'm like, okay, like I have ambition. That's fine. We can just move on now. I was trying to, like let you know who I was, but either way, go on.
And that's just an opportunity to experience someone's perspective of what the experiences that you're having.
Absolutely. And I'm perfectly fine with that, but it's funny that like that word ambition is in it, and it's like my dad is praising my ambition. And when we say praising a status that can be achieved.
Yeah, not you.
Right.
not you.
He's praising the status that can be achieved because I've achieved it. I've achieved the status of ambitious, and he wants to be able to embrace that because he thinks that that's important.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and so he's praising me for something that he thinks is important. And I say, no, like that doesn't mean that the fact that I did those things isn't important to me. I mean, I think it's all stupid, but I also think it's great that it all happened and I was there for it. However, it doesn't mean that I'm ambitious to me. And it doesn't necessarily mean that I want to take credit for that ambition because it's like I didn't do anything. And yet that constant success, that constant ambition, that constant productivity is definitely a status that can be praised and is praised in our first world.
It's measurable.
Right. People love
That's
the measure
the
shit.
thing. Yes, yeah. So when you approach life in a way that is immeasurable, I find you get another little label, and that's odd. They're odd.
Oh, yeah, they're odd.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
I love the word weird, by the way. But that's
Weird.
another, weird. It comes from a book that I read called Way of the Weird. It's a lovely book, and it's pretty much saying about the structure and space that is. It's very descriptive of how I would, in my mind, visualize Tao. So it has all void in it. It also has structure, and it also has that lovely glowing space or energy, if you like. And when people call me weird, for me,
which I'm sure happens quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Which I really enjoy because they're almost telling me that I am connected to the everything.
Yeah.
And it's so difficult for people to join that. And that's their path. And I'm not judging them for that.
No.
But what they are kind of measuring me as in being totally out of the box, totally, a lost cause is another thing that I get called quite often. Yeah. Because there's no rhyme or reason to the things that I do. But I kind of like
it doesn't seem that way, right? It doesn't seem from the outside that there is any rhyme or reason to your actions.
There's no accomplishing. There's no accomplishment. There's no accumulation, and there is no status.
Right.
So,
and that has actually, like, since I've known you, that has actually been a bigger and bigger part of you.
Yeah.
And you have accepted that, and you have surrendered to that in a way that, I don't know of anybody in my life that's been able to do that to the extent that you have. And that's
it's okay.
And it's not, like I'm going to say it's commendable, but it's not really commendable. It's like you just do what you do.
That's right.
Absolutely. And it's not something to be celebrated at all. Right?
Nope.
Like you do this and it works for you now. And as
maybe.
What's that?
At the moment, maybe, but we don't know.
At the moment.
And I'm like,
I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it might be working for you, and it might be something that you're continually struggling with. But either way, it's what you're doing. And I love you and your journey, and I respect your journey and you. And if you were doing this to get praise, well, I'm not going to praise you for it, right? So that I can once again, like, weaken your ambition to get praise for doing this, and you can be more you, whatever that means next.
Yeah, I like that. I'm happy to just continue enjoying this experience, or the experiencing the experience.
Right. And the title of this was Inspiring Strong People. And you by not defining praise or possession, and not even, and you can come back up if you have a moment and want to. That's how you're going to inspire strong people. Like, it's your presence that is going to inspire strong people, and people seeing that you're doing what you're doing, and they're going to be like, huh, she doesn't care. And that's good enough for her. I wonder, if I didn't care, would that be good enough for me? And it's not that you don't care. I mean, you love the things you do in your life, and the people in your life, and you love them deeply.
Yeah.
But you don't care about getting something from it.
No, there is no value to it. And that sounds really harsh, doesn't it? But there's no value.
It's such a hard, like, this is why words can't express this. I mean, I don't know if you heard my episode the other day when I talked about, like, I was talking to a friend of mine and I said, like, I don't have any reason to live. That doesn't mean I don't want to live. That doesn't mean that I don't want to get the most out, but I don't have any outward things I need to achieve in order to make my life valuable. My life is valuable inherently. I don't have to achieve anything in order for that to happen.
You don't have a bucket list.
Right.
You don't have a bucket list then.
Absolutely. I'm not trying to get something done. I'm living my life, and I'm going to do that every moment. And so when you say, like, you know, you don't care or whatever, like, words are so finicky. Because you can take, when I tell somebody I don't have a reason to live, that's the same phrase someone would give, like, on their suicide, like, watch, right? Like, I don't have a reason to live. And it's like, I don't need one.
Get all of his doctors and his dentists, his mental health practitioners. He's about to do it. He's telling me, yes, he's definitely the GAD form, number 7. Yes, he's a high scorer. Yeah.
That's right. You know, and it's like, no, you don't understand. I'm free. You know, like, I am. Now, that doesn't mean that someone else using that phrase is going to say the same thing.
Yeah, because it might mean something differently to them, you see.
Exactly. And that's why words are particular and they cannot express Tao, right? They cannot express what you mean because they're particular and they're heard in a very particular way. Every time I go to the doctor and I have to fill out that depression sheet, everyone's like, uh-oh. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's natural to feel these things. And I am just attuned to the subtle to a degree that you are not. And so you think this is overwhelming and I'm perfectly happy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. This is the thing about it, is I struggle sometimes with words because they are interpreted the way that they are, and even the words that I use sometimes are not really hitting the ball for me. They're not hitting the mark. And the more I'm kind of discovering that, the more I'm finding it difficult to find the words.
Absolutely.
So that's quite fun for somebody who talks
and
a lot.
It's you know, I don't talk a lot traditionally. I mean, I do. I mean, I come on here, I can talk for an hour straight, like without taking a breath. But it is a thing where it's like, I like quiet and I like silence. And sometimes when I speak up, I'm always disappointed in myself because I'm like, I didn't have to say anything. You know, it's like, it didn't do anything. It didn't do any good.
Yeah, that was like, you know, oh, what was that utterance about then?
Yeah, what am I trying, you know, but that's the wonderful thing about Tao. We can look at it. We can always, like, it's a reflective thing. I can look at it and go, well, where did that come from within me?
Yeah.
You know, why is it I'm leaning in this direction? Why am I leaning into the body? Why am I leaning into the manifestation? Interesting, right? Like, why is that? Because, like, I don't need it. I don't need a response. But after about 15 minutes of thinking of something, yes, I do. Right? Like, you convince your mind and your body to get on board. And then when you do, it's like, oh man, like, why did I do that? Why did I convince my body to be engaged in the manifestation? Why couldn't I have just remembered that that's just an extension of me and I can just love it and I don't have to get anything out of it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I can just enjoy the experience of it all.
Right.
And be able to receive information in a way, because I think that that's what I do. I don't intend to, but it does come.
Well, that's just observation. And really, I mean,
I enjoy that process as well. It's like, it's that thing called awe, that, oh, wow. Fascinating.
Far out.
Interesting. Yeah, far out, man.
Far out. Like, look at that, far out. And to phrase it like this, right? Praising the status one can achieve. That's like, whatever that is, like praising, like a status that can be achieved is being a parent. And there are people that can't have children, and you're going to chastise those who don't achieve it, right?
Yeah.
And chastise those who can't have children. And like a status thing can be achieved, because I've never wanted to get married, but I'm a man. That's somehow okay in our society. A woman, like I know so many women that they because they don't want to get married or they don't want to have children, they are constantly attacked in one way or another because of that. And it's like, I've been gifted with, I'm going to be crude, I've been gifted with a penis, so I don't have to get married.
Hans and I have got penile envy, so I envy you your penis.
I will tell you so like it should be said, I have vagina envy. Like my whole life, I've had vagina envy.
Yeah, I think we do.
But I would not want one.
Too right. Don't want all the trappings with it. Same here. It's like it's pretty ugly, but it's just it's a different function, isn't it?
Yeah, but, and I disagree with that they're ugly, but that's me.
Talking about women that can't have children or don't want to have children, and also they don't want to get married. I spoke to a lady recently when we were camping, and she said exactly those things. The first thing I noticed was every day she'd get out of her tent and she'd set up 2 seats. And I thought, that's interesting. And I kind of made up a story to myself that she got this extra seat out so that she wasn't going to be a lone camper. There was obviously 2 of them. Anyway, but which keeps you safe in a way. It's kind of a very clever idea. And she said to me that she was growing up, with her friends, quite close sort of friendships she had. And eventually they all kind of went on their way, got married, had children, did this sort of stuff. And they would all look at her and they'd say, so why don't you going to have any children? You're going to get married? And she'd say no. And they were like, why not? How could you? That's really selfish. That's really selfish not to have children. That's what we're put on the earth for, is to have children and reproduce. And And she said what happened to her was she started to get less and less invites to places.
Yeah.
So, if there was going to be a dinner party, no one would invite her because she's got no kids. She doesn't understand it. She's not really.
Well,
And holidays, aunties and uncles, relatives, all of these people started to treat her in a particular way because she decided, I don't want to have children, thank you.
Right.
I want to experience my life. I don't want to have to put mine on hold and rear these children. It's just not something that was appealing to her. And I love talking to her. It's a really nice conversation we had.
I bet.
I told her I had 3 kids. I said, you know what? If I'd have made my mind
look,
up.
like you can just, chalk one of those up for her and you're good. Like she's balanced out. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like we get under the influence and then we believe that there's a status and a possession in both of those cases, right? There's a possession. You have a child. There's a status. You're a parent.
Yeah.
Right. And once we praise that, or once we put that on some pedestal, if you don't want to do it, then you're against everything. And it's like, wait, you're less than, or you're challenging me and my, because you don't want to have a child. Like the women that had children are like, well, you're selfish for not wanting a child. And she isn't judging them for having children.
No.
She isn't the one saying you're selfish for needing so many resources. Right? She's not telling them that. And she's still, it seems, I don't know if this is true, she's still willing to accept and love her friends. However, her friends are feeling challenged by her decision.
Yeah.
She's not feeling challenged by theirs because they all made their decision, and she's still going to be her, which is the person who doesn't want to get married, doesn't want children. Well, now the women who are married and have children can't change their mind because she still can if she wanted to.
Yeah.
Right? But, you can't have a 42nd month, a 42nd trimester abortion. You know what I mean? Like
you can't shove them back in. Believe me, you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't
want. So there's there's this thing where it's like they're literally chastising her for her decision because she did not achieve a status and possession.
Yeah.
And that pushes her out.
Yeah. She also, at the same time, once that occurs, is open then to be herself and meet people, make friends maybe with people who accept her for exactly who she is. So she's now opening that part of her up, which she did. Yeah.
That is an opportunity for her to be that. But we can't know if that, it could close her off to doubling down on her choices, where it's like, well, if will those choices change? That's still possible, I suppose. Like little things like that. Maybe not, but it's always an interesting balance of like, is this affecting you to the degree that you're now going to double down on your decision? Or
can I just say something about that, Martin?
Please,
John?
yeah.
So we had this conversation and she was telling me all of these things, and we were in a campsite. And the one thing that caught her attention and focus was them screaming kids over there.
Yeah.
Every parent took her vision and her focus because she was like, they just let their kid scream. They just let their kid wander off over there. And suddenly this is the doubling down. It's okay, I don't want children. But now I'm noticing every kid that there is.
Right. Because she was hurt by parents and their children. It's just like, you don't have any balance. You don't have any respect. You don't have any of this. You don't have, and it's like, and because she was hurt.
Yeah.
Possibly. Well, I don't want to speak for her, but if she sees the world from this decision. And when she's around children, she's like, those little brats, and they're bad parents.
Yeah. Yeah. I just noticed it. I didn't, say anything. I just noticed it. It's
right. And that's the thing. Like, you let her, maybe she went into her camp, into her tent or whatever at night and was like, I don't like that I was complaining at that lady, that Julie, when she came by. I was complaining about the children and stuff. And that's not who I want to be. And then she'll do it until she doesn't, and she'll continue to grow. Maybe she won't, but That's the hope. The hope is that that she's inspired to notice those things about herself that she doesn't like. And that's the thing. I'm so happy that she didn't have children reluctantly or get married reluctantly. I'm glad she's living her life.
She shows strength, actually.
Absolutely. And I really hope that she can continue to grow without having any of the resentment, without having any of the tie-ups and the hang-ups about it all. Because it is true. And I just noticed that you dropped off. If you wanted to come back up, please do. But and without having all the tie-ups and stuff, because, when we praise a status, we chastise those who don't achieve it. When we praise a possession, we condemn those who don't own it. And both of those could be seen here. And when we condemn a person, then they feel left out. They feel pushed out, especially the way that her friends pushed her out. She stopped getting invitations to things. Yeah. And that may very well be because the women that she was with felt challenged. And I'm not going to say that, they pushed her out on purpose. Maybe it was just like, she doesn't want to be around children. I'm a bad parent. My kids are going to scream the whole time. I don't want to invite her to this.
She might not like it. She doesn't she doesn't want to have children, so she's not going to
Why would she want this?
So,
and they may be doing that with love. They may be doing it with consideration. But because we praise these things in our society, it could very well be taken personal by your new buddy. Right, yeah. By the person who decided, because she's going to tell the story in her head that they don't I challenge them and they don't like me and I this and I that. And, and it's like, well, maybe that's the case, but we can't know. We can't know for certain if that's actually true. And maybe the last time you went to someone's thing, you complained about a kid screaming and they didn't want to fucking hear it.
Yeah.
Kids scream. That's what they do. I have a kid and I don't want to hear you complain about my child or my buddy's child because they're screaming, because we understand that. You can't understand the day in and day out screaming. And this is light compared to what we deal with. And you're complaining about it. And it's like, you know what? I don't want you coming around.
Yeah, because you're making my life feel dismal, mate.
Right. It's like you don't have children and you're going to sit there and look me in the eye and say, I'm so happy I didn't have children because of the experience you're having with my kids. I don't need that in my life. Right. And so it goes every direction.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that our society praises these things and even here in the States, we got this douchebag like J.D. Vance telling, women that they have to have children. And it's like, wait, what now? They want to make it like a legal thing, it's like,
wow, crikey, that's a huge jump, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute, he's from the backwoods mountains. He's just hillbilly as fuck.
Sorry, that just made me giggle a little bit.
Yeah,
he's tune in my head. It was going
this is like straight up backwoods shit. But either way, good on him. He wants to just make that a legal thing. Where I don't know how he.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, we will. We'll just roll them dice, I guess. But that's the thing. We praise a status and it gets out of hand. Because, that's what happens with praising the status of money. Praising the status of money has turned at least the United States into a place where it's like, if you're not trying to get the most money out of every situation that you have, you are morally failing. Morally failing. You are ethically failing. You are not, and it is so messed up. That's how much we've praised money, that you have to turn every interaction into money, or you are not worthy of respect, or not worthy of a voice.
Yes. All of those things. Yeah, definitely. I can see that daily. I notice that daily. I observe that daily. And that's all I do with it, of course.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, as we said before. And I can interact with that, or I can just let the ball drop in front of my feet and continue with my experience. And just, I think for me, that's very calming. It gives me a lot of peace, really. But it's lovely to talk to this lady, and it was great to be able to think of her when you read the number 3, which I'm going to ask you to read again before I go.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So praising the status one can achieve will chastise those who don't achieve it. Praising a possession that can be owned will condemn those who don't own it. When nothing arouses competition, people will be at peace. I want to pause there. I mean, think about this woman who didn't have children, and she's complaining about all the kids. There's all the kids, because she didn't want children, she sees them as competition.
Yes.
She sees the parents as competition. And so she, in some competitive way, she is complaining about her opponent or whatever, right? Like,
yeah. Absolutely.
But if nothing aroused competition, if it was just like, oh, you didn't have children, great. Like, that means you're free to watch mine. Like, whatever. Like, we're all in this together. Like, it's good, you know. Like, wait, this is okay.
Yeah.
And so it's like when nothing arouses competition, people would be at peace. I can just do what I do, and like, you know, I have this neighbor who helps me with my house.
Yeah.
If I competed with him against something, like I want to make my house better than yours, he wouldn't have any need to come over and help me. Absolutely. And he wouldn't want to compete. He would just be like, oh, I don't want to talk to that guy. But it's like, we're in it together. And I tell him all the time, look, if you ever need anything done in your house, let me know. We can, like, I'm there. You know? And it's like, we're at peace. And when we see each other, we're just like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? What are you working on? Little things, you know? Yeah. But it's there's no competition. It's all peaceful. It's all good. And we're connected.
Mm. This neighbourhood that I'm in at the moment is very much like that. It's so lovely to see the connections between the neighbours. And we've been welcomed here not only by the people whose house this is, but by the neighbours as well.
Yeah.
And they look out for us, and we'll look out for them, obviously, because that's how it's been created. They've welcomed me, I welcome them. So obviously I'm not going to go knocking on a door bothering them every 10 minutes.
No, but like, you're around, you say hello.
Yes, I say hello. I'm interested in their experiences, what you've been doing here, how's it going with you? And they're also interested in our experiences as well, and they're very helpful. You know, they offer, like i.e. the van that was, you know, poorly. They've offered garages and people that they trust, and they've given us a bit of background information. And, you know, so these are the things that happen when you're not competing.
Right. People are just open to share. And it's like, that is a state that that is natural for us. But we all, because of the world that we live in.
They don't kind of withhold information because they are looking at my status.
Right.
You know, they're not looking down on me, giving me this information. They're just giving me the information that they would give to part of their community. Yeah. And that's the thing that I've picked up from it. That's been a beautiful education for me, coming from like the poor side of town.
Right.
You know, to being in this affluent area and discovering that people are people. It doesn't matter what they possess. It doesn't matter what their status is. When I see them and I have conversation, I'm talking to another human being. And
it should be said that the poor folks,
This is the thing. I've been brought up with the influence of being in a poor area, in a poor town, and thinking of myself as poor.
Right.
As valueless.
Right.
And as skillless.
Right.
So I had to come
See,
out.
there's all of this. There's all like, because I'm sure that there are plenty of quote unquote poor neighborhoods in which they come together and work as a community.
Yes.
And they don't even recognize they're poor because they're rich in so many ways.
Yes.
However, once again, this comes down to governmental, like, what do we praise? Are we praising possession? Are we praising status? Because if we're doing that and we're embracing the praising of the status and the possession, then you just got a new car, or you just got a new used car, but it looks nice. And so I'm going to be upset with you because I didn't get that possession.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that. And so now you become this target of my ire.
Yeah.
Right. And what ends up happening is like, and that's what this is saying, like, that is when you're in a poor neighborhood and you're trying to claw your way out in one specific way, you start to create enemies instead of neighbors. You start to create competitors instead of neighbors.
That's right. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely.
And when you
do what I do and move out.
But that's the thing. All of that status, all of those possessions don't really mean anything. They don't really have anything. And it is the culture. It is the government. It is the people who are trying, the salesmen. It is the marketing that gets us to put a status or a possession that I can have in front of a relationship that I can be open to having with somebody. Because that's not as important. Like, no possession is more important than how much I love you. And if somebody says you can't ever speak to Julie again for this thing, it's like, well, Julie has so much to offer. This thing is going to eventually be garbage.
Yeah. Oh.
But Julie's never going to be garbage.
Yeah.
You know, because she's constantly learning. She's constantly growing. And when I'm not in competition with Julie, I can get so much more than I can get out of a Ferrari or out of a, you know, like whatever.
Yes, yes. Oh, beautifully, beautifully worded, expressed. That was beautifully expressed.
This one finishes up with, the master leads by not defining status or possession. I'm not going to say this is good or this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. Julie's life is great for her. My life is great for me.
Yeah.
And if you're defining status or possession, then you're going to say your life isn't good because you don't have one of these things.
Yeah.
She weakens the ambition of those around her, which toughens the resolve to be as they are. They would just like this woman, she has a lot of resolve to be as she is, but she's still angry, and so it'll grow, hopefully.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's maybe we're wrong about the assumption. Maybe she was just in a mood and didn't want to, and she wasn't happy about it.
She noticed, all she ever noticed was children.
Yeah. See, and that's she feels aggrieved. She feels hard done by.
Yeah, you know? It was interesting that, you know, and I'm so. Just noticing that was quite something for me, because I'm usually pretty dense, you know, things can go on. I don't get it, but to actually notice that was quite, and not like condemn her or judge her or anything like that.
This isn't a judgment thing. It's just
it's just what it was. It was just that I noticed it, and that just blew me away. I was kind of like, oh,
look at you, like Yeah, you made your decision, and now you're like, you know, like you're lying in your bed full of crumbs. Like, I don't.
yeah, it's funny. But yeah, I like that. I love number 3. Number 3 is very, very helpful to us all.
Yeah, and then it just wraps up. I want to read this last line really quick. By individuals releasing their ambition, releasing their desire to be something, releasing their need to have a status of any sort, everything falls into place.
Yeah. For me, that's kind of like once you accept who you are inside and the experience that you're having, that's enough. That just gives you peace. And you can just let go and just live in that peaceful space. And it's so filling, is the thing. Once you let go of all this status, this stuff, these titles, the possessions, you become comfortably unwanting. You no longer have lack then.
Right. Yeah, and it can't even be described as lack. You no longer have the desire to have anything. Like it's like the lack of lack opens you up to recognize all that you do have. And look at all of this air that you have. Look at all of the opportunities you have. Look at all the water and the food that are around you. And look at all open your eyes to everything rather than only opening your eyes to, blinkered eyes to the way that other people want you to see, the way that other people want you to experience. You dropped off again. I'm sorry, I didn't notice. So thank you so much, Julie, for sharing number 3 with me. My good buddy Barry's coming up. Number 3. So good. Hey, dear, how are you?
I am good this morning. How are you?
Oh, look at you smiling all bright and shiny.
Yes, because I've had a beautiful, beautiful epiphany this morning about things. And aren't they wonderful when we have those?
Yeah, it's like, those aha moments and those moments where we can just, and, as I always like to remind people that, those first ones, like the first time that, you really kind of surrendered to God or things like that. Those aren't going to happen again. But those little moments, where we can just be present and know ourselves even more, know our relationship with the world around us a little bit more. That's all so special. Yeah.
It is. And you know what? I want to go backwards this morning because I do have something to tell you, and it's just like such a huge breakthrough for me.
Oh, good.
But let's go backwards. Let's start my number first.
Okay.
And then go backwards. What do you think about that?
I'm open.
All right, 34.
34. So the answer to your question is entitled Tao is in everything. Tao is in everything. Tao flows in every direction and is received by all things regardless of their awareness. Beings are born from it, yet it doesn't create them. Its work is every action taken, providing for everything, yet it makes no claim. Being at the root of all things, it is hidden within action. It has no motive, no desire. It promotes the greatness of beings. Thus, its greatness is humble and pure.
Okay, you ready for my epiphany?
I'm always. Bring it.
You know how I struggle, right?
I do. I do know how you struggle.
In so many ways. So yesterday, Mindful Monday sent me a question. And it was, how do you find inspiration in unexpected areas or unexpected ways? It was something like that. And I had to stop and think. And for me, I tried to think out of the box. And my first response was, you have to be open to inspiration and practice mindfulness to get the negative out and keep your eyes open. And, and I listened to other people's answers. And we'd all said the same thing, but this morning, as I took my fiance to work, I was just, I don't know, I'm always just quiet and pensive, and I realized, because none of what I said, all I kept hearing was unexpected, right? In unexpected places. And so that was what was sticking in my mind, was unexpected.
The word.
Yeah, it kept sticking with me because I don't feel like when I answered that question yesterday, I was like, it was so vague. And it wasn't deep enough. I feel like that was supposed to go more to the core. Do you know what I mean? We really wanted to dig deep on that. That's just the sense that I got.
Okay.
And this morning I was just thinking, but that could just be me as the thinker, but it just came to me this morning. And I was like, one of the most unexpected places for me to find inspiration, and this doesn't necessarily mean it does for everybody, is me.
Mm-hmm.
I have never expected that I am my own inspiration. Because anytime I think back and look back, what I see are the mistakes. What I see are the sadness. What I see are the things that have caused the trauma and the baggage.
Okay, I
What
want
I
to
don't,
pause right there for 1 second. I just want to tell you I love you. I think this is beautiful. Like, I can just feel you
thank you.
gleaming, and that is, and I want you to continue.
I love you too.
I just wanted to take that moment just because, like, that is, like, that's beautiful, like what you're saying. And of course,
it's huge.
And number 34 is aligned with this to
Perfect.
such a huge degree, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be aware of it for it to be working through you, but the more you're aware of it, the more you see that your actions are inspired.
And humble.
Right. Yes.
Humility,
Because you're just doing it. You're not trying to get anything from it.
Exactly. I'm just being me, and when my focus has always been on helping others through my own experiences, right? When I do the domestic violence advocacy, it's because I am so passionate about helping other women get out of those circumstances and not hurting or anyone else. And you see,
Let's pause. Let's pause. I want to just allow this to be as it is, because what happens when we start to, and I just want to, heighten your awareness just a little bit more. Like, I want to do that because I do care, and I care about you. And when we say things, when we look at things and quantify or qualify them by saying something like, this is why I do this. It's just like, well, no, this isn't why you do it. You do it because you're inspired to do it. It's not because you're so passionate. It's because you're inspired to do it. When we quantify it as, I do this because I'm passionate about it. Well, when it gets difficult, when you get in the field and it starts to, and you start to burn out because because the industry will burn you out, you will no longer see the passion. And if you look at this from the standpoint of, I do this because I'm passionate and the industry wears you out, you are going to leave it. But if you can recognize that this is just what I'm inspired to do right now, And I trust in myself that the next thing to do will present itself when it needs to. And
Right.
I will move in the direction of loving the universe and God and everybody on the planet and all of these things together. And I only wanted to pause you because it's not you. Like, you are living in collaboration.
You're right.
You are doing the work, like you're doing the good work, right? And you are being inspired, and we can, like, I'll take this out of Tao and we'll just put it in the hands of God, and we'll just say, okay, you are doing the work of God. You are being inspired by God. Why? Because God flows in every direction and is received by all things regardless of their awareness. God doesn't have to be praised in order to bless you.
I know. Yes, I know. And we don't earn it. It doesn't
Right.
matter
It doesn't
how
matter.
many mistakes we've made. And that is the amazing thing about our God.
And the thing is there are no mistakes. That's just your judgment.
Right. Right. He sees us as perfect once we're saved. He sees us as holy
Well,
and righteous.
I would pull out once we're saved. I would say he sees us as perfect. Why would
Yes,
he have a
that, yes.
requirement for that? Do you think God's up there going, well, Martin didn't, like praise me this morning, so I'm gonna, do something fucking shitty to him. Like, no, like he's not holding grudges.
No, that's not our God. That's not our God at all,
Right.
But he'll allow us to go through things to strengthen us, to turn back to him for the comfort he wants to give us, to,
Right.
there's just, and, there's
And
so much that,
regardless of your awareness of it, regardless of your ability to surrender to him, regardless of your ability to do anything, he's going to love you. And he is there inspiring you to balance this all out. And you are going to inspire others. We're born
that's
from
what
it.
that's what I was thinking about this morning is I've had so many people tell me how strong of this has been through the years, how strong of a woman I am, how much I've been able to inspire them and things that you just said. And I have never seen it that way because I tell them, but I still have life just as you do,
Yeah,
outside of
course.
this. But I have never seen, I've got to figure out how to word this. I've never been my own inspiration. I've never really taken those moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I sit down and say, holy crap, as I've given my testimony of my life and the strength it took, and, and seriously, God by my side, because he protected me the day that I actually left. Holy cow, yeah. If I were to tell you one day about that last day, oh my gosh, you would understand that I was completely protected by God. And, so that's what I realized today is if I'm going to look back on anything, it will never be anything that I have done wrong. It's going to be the inspiration in me that I need to inspire myself with for once.
And once again, it's you in collaboration with God. Like, it's not you doing anything. It is you stopping having the identity of you needing to be something other than you are, Mary. You are perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that's what this is talking about, right? Like, beings are born, you're born from this. And it doesn't create you, right? Your parents created you. It didn't do it. It was the inspiration that your parents had to make a child. And its work is in every action. God's work is in every action taken. And it provides for everything, even providing you with, like, as you said, the opportunity to experience pain. I mean, you didn't say it in that way.
Yeah.
The opportunity to be challenged, the opportunity. And it doesn't make any claim. God's not coming here and saying, I did it. I just want I want to get that praise. I mean, in certain places, like, it sounds like God's doing that, but God's not really going out doing that. God's not trying to get credit for doing things.
No.
Being
But I'll
at
tell
the
you that I
root.
love telling people, you know what? I give God glory for this and this and this,
That's great.
because it was nobody but Him. It wasn't me, right?
Right.
It
But
wasn't
that
me.
is the case across the board.
Yeah.
It's not your mistake. It is, you need to have lessons, and you need to have growth, and you need to be challenged.
Oh, yeah.
And that's okay.
Yep.
That's like, without any of that, if you were just given everything, there would be no ability for you to resist. It's like children today. It's like, if we wrap them in bubble wrap, they get hurt so easily.
Yes.
Whether that's
yes.
emotionally or whether that's physically or whatever, they can turn everything into a grievance because we've wrapped them in bubble wrap to such an extent that they don't know pain. They don't understand.
Yeah.
In order to understand happiness, in order to understand gentleness, you need to understand, respectively, sadness and harshness. You just dropped off, so you can come back up and we can wrap up. And this says, being at the root of all things, it is hidden within every action.
And you
it
see,
has
there's
no
the
motive.
word hidden, right? There's the word hidden and root.
Yeah.
And we have those roots.
Yeah, they're within us.
We have those roots.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's hidden. And
In
until you can
unexpected
open up,
places.
right, until you can open up, until you can see it within yourself, then you're going to see your mistakes. Until you can see that these are inspired through you, then you're going to chastise, and you're going to put yourself down. You're going to do all of these things because you're fallible, quote unquote. And this goes back to my, go on.
I can't even look at everything that I feel. Well, and some of them were, when I first came home, and I haven't said this on any other podcast, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to say it on yours, because these wrongs also need to be looked at as inspiration.
Right.
And so when I came home, and this was on the 14th of this month, which is only a couple of days away, it is 10 years that I have been gone from that situation. I mean, it took me 8 times to leave and stay gone. So I am celebrating on the 14th. I am celebrating. I call it, it's my 10-year anniversary,
Yeah.
But I was put on Social Security for my seizures when I was still with him, because I was the one who worked. And he always said if he had to work, he wasn't, to pay the bills, he wasn't going to do it. And I can have any type of seizure. I mean, from the smallest to the biggest. And so I would quite often have seizures at work, grand mal seizures.
Okay.
So my neurologist said, I am going to put you on Social Security. Now, obviously, that's not an easy process, and it's hard to prove epilepsy. I was approved the first time within 4 months. And so when I finally came home in 2014, Social Security, you don't get rich on it. I had about $1,500 a month, and I was able to work part-time, but it was pretty difficult to find a job up here. And so one of my niece's friends, they were kind of into the party life. he came up to me one day and he says, Ma, I can help you make some money. And I said, okay, Biggs, how? And what it came down to was running drugs for him. And I never thought in a million years that I would be a part of that. And I got involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I could only do it for a month and a half because I could not destroy another person's life. I was telling him, I said, my calling is to save people, not to kill them.
Yeah.
And so I look back at that time, and I've talked about this. You know, I've always been very open about my life when I was making my videos on my domestic violence page. I talked about this time in my life too, because I wanted people to know that if people judge you for it, don't let them do that. You can change. And if you have changed and they're still being judged, you know, let them get behind you in the line of haters, because everybody has a closet. Everybody. And you can pull yourself up, because I did. You can still have a good future, because I had gotten to that point. And you can leave it all behind, because some think they can't. And that was it. You have to make that decision. You don't have to stay stuck in that life. I said, I found a way to support myself better. I said, and that was letting Social Security Administration know that I no longer wanted their money, that they could give it to the elderly who need it more than me. And I went back to work.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, there's nothing to say after that.
I left
Thank
you speechless, didn't I? I even had people say to me, you are too nice of a person to be doing this. And,
well, I think
like,
that, you know, like, I mean, like, you know, like the idea that you do what you got to do, and you are inspired to do that, and you're inspired to do what you did because you needed to. And there's nothing, you know,
it's a time that I'm not proud of. And,
well, whatever. It doesn't
but I do admit
why, like the question is, well, like there's a number of things that we can address. And I'm glad that you shared that. And once again, it being Tao or God is hidden within action. Like you might not be proud of that, but it contributes so much to who you are. It has no motive and no desire. There's no motive or desire within the actions that you're taking, within the actions that you are inspired to take.
You cannot just, when you talk about the things in your life that you've done, that people sit there and give you accolades.
So we're going to stop with that. We're going to, like, there's this idea, like, and I know you've said it a couple times, where people judge you. Like, maybe, but really what's happening is you're experiencing being judged. You are not the victim of their judgment. Right? You're experiencing being judged.
I moved past that.
Right. And so what I just, you know, because I don't, like, just because the show is what it is, I just want to make sure that there's a nice balance to the idea of, like, no, you know what? I had this experience of being judged. And what does that mean to me? I don't have to change
what I was
attitude.
going to say, this was a positive thing, is that,
of course. Yeah.
Some people choose to only talk about the positive of themselves, right? And we need to be a completely honest, open person, because there's so many people that we are going to reach who hold that shame for so many things that nobody knows about.
Right. And there's no,
It's about
and this
being
is
honest,
going,
you know?
and this is what goes back to our number 3 that we were talking about earlier, praising the status that can be achieved. You can achieve the status of being a quote unquote good person. Well, the moment you praise that status is the moment that you start to chastise those of us who are hiding things in our closet.
Exactly.
And then we're afraid, we become afraid to share those things. And then we don't ever really get to heal those things because we dismiss them. We dismiss them as bad things that are not me. But you know what? It is you. And that's okay. It's okay that you ran drugs. Big deal. There are people that need the experience of having that drug or having that delivered to them, and they had it and you did it, and them looking at you in the eye when you sold it to them or whatever it was that you did, like that could have been the experience that they needed in order to grow and to change. And you don't know how your interactions with those people actually altered their lives irrevocably.
I do. There's one positive story that came from that. And I just came to my mind. And one actually went to rehab as she talked to me.
But if
so there was a good happy ending,
but if we start once again quantifying and qualifying,
you're right.
Then you start getting marred up in the fact that, okay, one person went to rehab and 6 people died. Do you want that on your shoulder?
You're right.
Right?
Yes,
because if you're going to start to quantify, well, then we'll quantify it all.
No,
and you have to. This is why we surrender to the inspiration.
Yeah, we surrender it and just go on. Yes.
Right. You don't quantify. You don't qualify. All of that is measurement, as we talked about earlier. And so we want to be able to be present.
This is why I love sharing even the deepest part with my life with you, because you put it in such an amazing perspective, because that's why I chose not anymore.
Right.
But
and that's quantifying it, right? Like you're inspired to not. Like
exactly.
It isn't you doing it. You aren't the one doing it alone. It is something bigger. Right. Whether you're aware of it or not, it isn't one or the other, right? It isn't God did this and I did good. I did this and it was bad. Like, no, it's not that. It's not, God's not leaving you. And you did this and you had an experience that you didn't like. Now you get to learn. Mm-hmm. That's all. And it's not because God judges it. It's because you did.
I did. Yes, you're right. I did. You are correct.
I want to just give you a hug because it's not easy, this work and stepping into all of this and really taking this on as like a balance and understanding it is hard because we it's so easy in our society to be like, this made this and I know. But like not knowing is really a big gift, and not having the answer so you can be open to everything that's around you. And there's so much support and so much love that's surrounding you. And
I know.
Nobody, well, I don't know if nobody, I mean, we might have, 100 people judging you right now, but so what? That's on them.
And that's okay.
They have their experience that they have to sort through. You have yours. I'm not judging you. I care about you and I want you to be able to grow as you, not in a way that I want, but in a way that you are and in a way that keeps you growing.
But you see, that's where what I realized this morning is that the inspiration I found in myself.
Right.
Because rather than look back at that as a huge mistake in the time of my life, is that after that experience, I found an amazing job. It's where I met my fiance now. I have a beautiful home. I came back to Jesus a year later, and I am in college kicking butt.
See? Life is easy.
Yeah, right?
You keep calling him or her like your fiance. Do they have a name?
Oh, yes, he has a name. Yes, it's Norbert.
Norbert. Okay. And I just
Yep.
wanted to know because like we've chatted a number of times and he's got the label fiance.
I know,
you
right?
know. But
I know.
he's Norbert before he's your fiance.
He is. I never think about it because whenever we talk to other people about it, you know, we always say my fiance. And
My
he's proud
fiance.
of that because
Oh,
he
yeah.
has never, I'm the first woman he's ever asked to marry him.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
sweet. And
that, you know,
that must feel very special for you.
it does. But once more, it's just, if you're not authentic,
Right.
then people know it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's in every action, just as it says here.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to quantify that.
Right.
It's just simple. And if people want to explore that further, they will.
Yes, they will. Oh, thank you so much for coming up and having this conversation. It was beautiful, and I appreciate you. You know I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, and I just love you and adore you, and I'm so happy that I have become a part of this community.
Yeah, me too. You have a wonderful day, sweetie. Okay, we read 3 and 34 today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm going to cut out because I got to cook and get out of here and do all of my stuff. So, love you all. Thank you for joining me for Tao of the Day. If you're interested in learning more, you can check out my website. You can find links on my profile here. And you can contact me here if you have any questions or thoughts. Or you can contact me on other platforms as well. I don't check those things. I'm on here every day, so this might be the easiest way unless you wanted to contact me through my website. All right, well, that's about it for today. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.